Hello Internet, it's me again. It's been a little while. We got some grass on the table. Looks like they mowed the lawn. Yeah, it's been a little while. Kind of had a busy weekend and just haven't had the time the last couple days to get some reviews out. I wanted to do a review, kind of a first look a while ago on this guy, and I think we're going to be somewhere between a first look and a full-on review because I've had this for a couple days and kept trying to find time to get some recording done and just couldn't make it happen. So I've been EDCing this for, boy, almost a week now. Is that right? I don't know. In any event, we got the THRAXX spinner here. Comes in a nice box. Probably made in the USA, all that good stuff. Oh, little card of authenticity. Sweet deal. So I went with the machine finish on mine. I thought it looked cooler. I'm not a huge fan of media blasted. Personally, I just don't like the way that feels. But yeah, I kind of wanted to kind of talk about this guy, and then really the big $64,000 question, or rather $105 question, is how does it compare to the Very Dapper. So let's talk about this guy a little bit, and just kind of some of my initial impressions. First impressions was like, yeah, I mean, this is nice. This is a 64-gram spinner. So it's a little on the lighter side for what I like, but it's really good for fidgeting. I've heard a lot of good things about this spinner, and the feel of it, especially comparing it to something like a Tri stubby. And I don't have a Tri stubby, so I can't really say if that's a fair assessment or not. But initial impressions out of the box, it felt pretty good. I had a little concerns the bearing didn't actually feel that great. It looks like they do pre-lube the bearing, according to their website. So, you know, I did a spin time out of the box with it. It didn't actually feel that smooth, especially for what I would expect for a lubed bearing. It is a R188. And I got something like just under 2 minutes on a table spin and like 2:19, I believe, if memory serves, on a vertical spin. So I cleaned the bearing. Ended up getting close to, if not just over 7 minutes on a vertical spin. Right now, currently, it gets about, I think, 750. 740 to 750 on a vertical spin, because it is a hybrid ceramic and it's, I think, broken in a little bit. And getting, what's interesting is on my first table spin I got 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Let's see if you guys can hear this. Sounds pretty smooth. Hear that? I don't know if you can pick it up, but there's definitely a noticeable noise. I got about 4 minutes and 20 seconds on a table spin. Feels kind of rough on this side. I get almost 530, 540, I think, on this side. And it feels a lot smoother. There was definitely a little bit of an issue with the bearing, but let's take a look. Let's see if we can do this right. You see that? Let's try this. Give it a couple spins there. Can we focus? You see that? So these edges are actually really sharp too. I mean, super, super sharp. Like, probably the sharpest edge I've seen on anything yet. So I was a little concerned about that, and I was a little concerned about the bearing. So, you know, you do what you do. You don't go blast anybody on Facebook, or Twitter, or Instagram, or anything like that. You reach out to the guys. So I got it on a Thursday, maybe Friday. I don't know. By the time I reached out to him, it was Saturday. So I didn't get a response. I got kind of one quick response back on Facebook, but then they actually responded to me yesterday more in depth. I got a little bit of news that I wanted to, I'm glad I actually got that info before I updated you, but got a little bit of news on this guy. And if you look, it says THRAXX, and it actually says THRAXX. Can you see that right there? THRAXX on the bearing? You can see that. Look at that focus. We got some good focus working today. Actually, oh, you can really see that machine finish too. But yeah, it seems like with this side of the bearing down, it causes a lot of rattle. So reached out to them, really good guys. They're going to, and I have cleaned this bearing obviously a couple times. Reached out to them. They're going to be sending me out a replacement bearing, which is sweet. Good on you guys. But then their response regarding the machine finish was actually fine. I really just wanted to reach out about that sharp edge, mainly because of this video, and I want to do a honest review for you guys. Because I planned on polishing this guy up and putting a mirror finish on it and taking those hot spots down anyway. And it doesn't list this anywhere on the site, and I think this is something really to watch out for, but they mentioned that this machine finish was almost kind of more meant for people that are going to like customize and mod it and stuff like that. But nowhere on the site does it say that. So if you weren't that kind of person, you just like the look of machine finish, you got some hot spots you got to sand down. So it's really easy to do. I haven't done it yet because I really wanted to kind of have it in this first look video. but they just recommended like some 2000 grit sandpaper. So I think if you're careful, anywhere from 400 to 2000 grit should be fine to take this down without making too much of a mess. But yeah, it's got some really nice lines in it. That machine finish looks really good. I do like the way it looks, but again, I'm more of a mirror finish kind of a guy, so I'm definitely going to be putting the mirror finish on it. But yeah, the bearing in here, and again, it's probably because it's not a good one, it's really hard to tell because that is actually probably pretty normal, the amount of looseness that it has, but it just feels a lot looser than I think it should. So I think that's impacting what's going to be my ultimate kind of final say on this guy, sadly. But yeah, this guy's, it does have a nice fidgetability. It's got a nice slightness to it. The holes in the arms kind of make some cool, actually you're just going to see the warping, but it kind of makes some cool concentric circles when you're looking at it spin in person. You hear that noise. So I think I'm probably actually going to polish it up, maybe heat treat it, and probably throw a 1 drop in it, because this is not a super heavy spinner, so I don't think it's one I really need a lot of feedback. I need a lot of weight on. I need a lot of spin times on. So but can I tell you what I do absolutely love about this guy? These are, I've heard it said before, and I'm going to echo that statement, these are friggin' sweet buttons. Maybe some of the best buttons out there. They're smooth, yet you don't really feel these in terms of like hot spots or edges really, but it just grips your hand. It just grabs a hold of your finger, gives you good grip. I actually love these grips on my tungsten Tri-Fidget. They just feel fantastic. They're a little shorter, but they still allow for table spins on the Tri-Fidget. They are designed to work with a dedicated bearing, you know, a bearing that's glued in or press fit, or even using a set screw, so they won't work with things like this that have the retention, you know, kind of that standard retention method. But what I find most interesting about these buttons, and what I really love, is if you look, right, this is completely flat. You know, we got a flat surface coming in and then a flat surface at the bottom, but this feels like a curve. It feels like there's this little, like it's got a curved, rolled kind of edge. So it's got this real soft feel to it that's really nice. Really, really fantastic, amazing buttons. So these buttons are definitely getting an A+ for me. Amazing buttons. And that alone is certainly not worth the cost of entry, because I believe you can buy their buttons on the cheap, something like 30 bucks, 35 bucks, something like that maybe. So definitely, if you're not sure, definitely at least get some of these buttons if you got any of those spinners that use, again, press fit or glued in, or a retention ring. Well, not a retention ring, a set screw. If you're using a retention ring like this, it's not going to work right. Currently, these are sold out on their site. The machine finish sold out almost instantly. The Media Blast, it was there at least for a couple days. It is currently sold out. I'm kind of somewhere between, not sure if I'm happy or disappointed, because they're coming out with I believe they're dropping copper and brass this weekend, and you guys know how much I like my brass. But I think with this and the weight, you know, brass would definitely be a more fair comparison to this guy. But you know, with the weight and polishing it up and throwing a 1-drop bearing and something like this, I think I'm going to be happy with this. So I don't regret my decision. The brass and copper are also going to be 135 as well. So, but let's get to it. Let's talk about these two. This is definitely a heavier spinner, 64 grams, 85, 86 grams, so basically about a 20 gram difference. The arms are longer. It's kind of hard when you put it over the perspective, but see that it's about what you're seeing for the difference in the arms. So this is definitely a bigger spinner. It's definitely a heavier spinner, so it's kind of hard to do a fair comparison. But you know, kind of taking a look at these two side by side, the question becomes: is this worth more than this? Now, if this is worth more than this, then it doesn't really matter how much more it is, because if it's a better quality spinner, you have to pay more money for it, straight up. And I've said this before, right? Sometimes that price to quality scale starts to ramp up like this real quick, right? So you get a long ways for 30 bucks, but then if you want to take it to this next step, you know, it's 105 extra bucks, right? We're at 135 for this guy versus 30 for this guy. And my honest opinion is this is a better spinner. There's a little more attention to detail. There's more work involved in machining and making this guy. You know, the fact that it's made in the US is going to make part of that cost scale up quite a bit. Again, some of my finishing concerns, you know, the sharp edges on here. And again, for 135, this is a little nick from, I think, keys or something in my pocket, but one of these sides has these, yeah, this one right here, this is what came out, you know. So it's just, again, these are real minor things, but on that nice machine finish, you know, if you weren't getting this to polish it or mod it or heat it, or even if you were heating it, that might be a bit of an issue. So I think there's, you know, a little QC, and maybe that's just mine, but I would expect it a little bit better than this. But again, at the end of the day, I'm going to be polishing this, so I really don't care too much. You know, my initial impressions was I'm going to get this guy and be ready to sell this guy immediately, and I'm not actually quite there yet. This guy is definitely heavier, so you're going to get longer spins. You get almost 9 minutes on a vertical spin for me with the bearing. This currently has the bearing that came with it, to be fair. And I think around 7 minutes on a table spin. So this guy is a spin time champion. It's also a warp champion. Let's see if I can get it. It's hard to get just right, but when this thing warps, it holds onto that warp and does not let go. It like stops time. Slow it down a little bit. Look how long it holds onto the warp. Still warping, y'all. Still warping. Watch how long it stays still like that. All right, this thing's a warp champion. So I love this guy, so I'm actually not sure. I figured, yeah, sell this guy right away. Someone probably want to get my Hobby Timmy polished, Very Dapper. I'll actually polish it up and take off some of this patina that's starting to set in. But you know, I softened these bridges. This guy feels really nice. You'll remember I had some of the same concerns with this guy, but since I've polished it down, those concerns have gone away. So we're really gonna have to wait and do a second look on whether or not I really think this is worth it after I do a similar mod that I did to this guy. But if you're really thinking of getting a THRAXX, I don't think you'd be disappointed. And I think if you've got the money to spend on a THRAXX, you know, do a comparison yourself. Pick up a Very Dapper. You can get them cheap. I think Fabian on his Spin Space store right now has got them for like 20 bucks if there's any left. There's almost always a discount code of some sort with Spinetic. I think right now it's 10% off, but they might have these in one of their sales, so definitely sign up for the Spinetic discount. Again, this is the Kepler Very Dapper. So we'll have to see, but yeah, back to this guy. Buttons alone, I think make this guy worth more than this. I think these are definitely $30 buttons, and that right away puts us over this guy. So whether it's $105 worth more, $105 more value. I don't think it's $105 more value, but it is a better spinner. And then again, that's kind of where we ultimately find ourselves, is that step up in quality is kind of what you need. So we'll see what happens after I polish it, what my thoughts are. But initial impressions are, yeah, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. I like a lot here. I think there is a lot to like. There's just a couple little things that I think could have a big impact, especially depending on who and what the buyer is. So if you're thinking of getting these and don't want to do any additional work, I don't know if I can say the machine finish is right for you. Go for that media blasted. I don't know if they're going to be offering a machine finish in the brass or copper. I think those are just going to be media blasted. So yeah, I hope you liked it. Let me know if you guys do have any questions on either of these two. If you think you're interested in picking this up off of me, I would sell it for $30 what I paid for it plus shipping. I'm just not sure if I'm actually going to be there yet. So we'll see. I may polish this up more. I may shipwreck patina it and then see. I'm not sure. So anywho, that's been my kind of somewhere between first impressions and long-term review of the Tri THRAXX by VC EDC. Not VC EDC. THRAXX EDC. Yeah, good spinner. We're just rambling now at this point, so I hope you guys are having a lovely day, lovely week, and let me know what else you want to see. I've got plans to do a top 10 spinner review, taking all my spinners and kind of organizing them in the top 10, and I'm also very close to putting out my bearing review, so maybe let me know which one you want to see next. Do you want to see me talk about bearings, or do you want to see me talk about my spinners, and kind of a little bit of a countdown next, and we'll go from there. Yeah, leave you with a warp. Hobby Timmy out, y'all. Peace.